Do you want to know what goes into building a house like this? Hey folks, Rich Tyson here, Southwest Florida realtor, lover of luxury homes like many of you. Today I've got the exciting pleasure of bringing you out again to St. Armands Key, this time down south on Cleveland Drive, to show you yet another fantastic new home that's being put up by Trinity Construction and Design, this one designed by CMSA Architects. So what we've got behind me here is just over 4,000 square foot, 4-bed, 4.5 bath, an additional 900 square foot of exterior living space, a fantastic front yard pool with infinity edge. I cannot wait to show you guys around. Come take a look. We're here with Rick Oswald. He is the principal and managing member at CMSA Architects. Rick, tell us a little bit about this project that we've got here in the background.
Well, this project is fairly unique, just given the constraints of the lot that we had to build it on. And of course, with all of our projects, the lot always dictates how the house lands on the lot, so to speak. So in this particular project, the owners, as most people do in Florida, are looking for a significant amount of outdoor living space, nice swimming pool, those types of things. And so those were the primary factors that we had to work with on this particular lot. It's not a large lot by any stretch of the imagination. It's got some unique features about it in terms of setbacks and things like that, which dictated a fairly unique design on the project.
Rick, tell us a little bit about CMSA and what you guys do.
Well, CMSA was founded just about 30 years ago by the namesake Clifford M. Scholes.
Okay.
Cliff came to Sarasota after practicing with a very well-known architect up in Tampa, Florida, and ended up setting his own office up here in Sarasota, and has been producing masterful custom homes in this area since that time.
Yeah, I mean, the time that I spent in your office, the stuff that's on the walls is, you know, the stuff of dream homes, right? It's beautiful stuff.
It truly is, and we feel blessed to have the opportunity to work on the level of projects that we are commissioned to work on.
And we're standing in front of a beautiful one here on Cleveland Drive here on St. Armands Key. You were the man that designed it. We're gonna take a little walk around. I'm looking forward to showing us what you did and why you did it. And I appreciate the background in CMSA.
Sounds great.
Thanks. Okay, Rick, so I understand that the owner's requirement criteria for a pool kind of set the tone for what this design was going to start to look and feel like, correct?
It did, yes.
So tell us a little bit about kind of like how this all started to come together, how your vision started to roll out for the site.
Well, as I mentioned, this particular lot is not oversized by any stretch, and it has some unusual setback requirements on it. So one of the things that we always look at is solar access and things like that. Yep. Typically around a swimming pool, you want to have good solar, things like that. So between a very narrow rear yard setback and the need and desire to have quite a bit of sun on the sun deck itself, it really warranted that in this case the pool come forward on the lot as opposed to being in what is more typically in the backyard. Yeah,
which is definitely an atypical design. And then I think when we were in the office, you started to say that started to kind of spell out what the rest of this was going to look like, correct?
It really did. I mean, the pool itself dictates that it's going to take up just about 25% of the lot.
Sure. And I think if we step back here too, as we start to look up, so what we've got is essentially an L-shaped structure, correct? With, you know, the nice big covered lanai area behind us.
Right.
What do we got? What's this room over here?
So this is the master suite. So the master suite is literally centered on the pool. We've got an infinity edge on this pool.
Yes.
So that's a very obvious move that we made. It's got the best view in the house for being an interior lot, and that lot is across the water and with the longest view that we have in the house.
And I think centered is certainly something that's kind of a theme, because this, what's going to be an exquisite fireplace, is centered directly into the dining area, living area, correct?
It is. We pay a tremendous amount of time and attention to sight lines, whether it's interior sight lines or exterior sight lines or a combination of both.
Beautiful, beautiful. Maybe we should head inside, take a look around?
Absolutely.
So Rick, when we met in the office, you were telling me as you started to kind of lay out the front elevation, some things kind of started to, you know, come to fruition, or, you know, possibly fruition. We are standing in one of those spaces now, correct?
We are. What happens quite often as we're designing these homes is we have what we call found space. In this particular instance, this was intended originally to be a single-story entry, with the foyer below us. As we were designing the front elevation, I suggested to the owner I felt the elevation would be have a stronger curb appeal. if we stacked another room over it, made it essentially a glass room as well.
Beautiful.
So the owner definitely keyed on that. It was not part of the original program for the house. But this has essentially become a study, and it's certainly one of the primary features of the house from the street.
It's beautiful. It's got amazing views out, down to the pool, a nice little patio out there, a little deck out there to enjoy the hot sun.
Has some of the best light in the entire house, quite frankly.
Another thing is right around the corner here down the hall that was, I think, another found space, as you might say, which is a really fantastic transition from this hallway that takes you by all the bedrooms and takes you out here. Maybe we'll pop out, take a quick look. So this was not in the original design either, correct?
No, again, as soon as we added that study space, what was here before was just a shed roof over the covered lanai below.
Sure.
So it just was obvious that we should just turn this space, rather than it just being a simple roof structure, into an outdoor living space as well.
Again, great views. I think on a good day you could probably see the water from here, depending on how the leaves are blowing on the trees. I think I caught a little peek earlier, a little peek. Very cool. And then I guess if we continue down this hallway, we've got, these are all, I guess, would you call it the guest bedroom suites, or?
Yeah, exactly. This upper level is primarily secondary bedrooms.
Okay.
And in just about every home we design, we have what quite often is considered to be a second master suite.
Yes.
Or in this case, it's a slightly elevated secondary bedroom, which is actually a VIP guest suite.
And that's the one that we're standing in right now. Yeah, good size, looks like a good size bathroom going
Direct access to the terrace that we were just talking about. A little bit larger bathroom than you might typically find, and the room is slightly larger.
It's nice too, you got your primary bedroom suite downstairs, your guests and kids or whoever are upstairs, kind of little separation.
Exactly. This house is primarily designed for empty nesters.
Okay.
So again, it's very, very common for us to set up homes in this way, where primary living and master suite is always going to be on the main level. That way, if this upper level is not occupied, it can essentially be shut down.
Sure.
And it's one-story living.
Yeah, and speaking of one-story living, I think one thing I love about this house, as opposed to some others that I see, is you brought that pool up to actually function on that primary living space, right? You're not walking up and down stairs.
Right. That's a very common theme as well. I mean, you know, as soon as you detach a pool from the primary living level, that pool has a completely different sensibility about it. People aren't going to use that pool as much because it's not a direct access. People aren't going to gather around it because it just seems like it's detached from the primary living areas of the house. Yeah. So as soon as we elevate them, bring it up to the same elevation as the rest of the house, it becomes part of the main level of the house.
Do you find that a lot of folks that are looking to build are asking for that, or is that a feature that you're bringing to their attention because they don't think, I mean, I didn't think about it until I moved to Florida myself, right? Yeah. Having a pool that's elevated, where a lot of the homes are elevated due to flood zones and things along those lines.
Exactly right. A lot of folks just aren't even aware that it can be done.
I see.
You know, structurally it's a bit challenging. It certainly has its challenges, just getting the pool to work properly and supporting it properly and doing all the things we have to do. But in the end, it adds significant value to the house and to lifestyle.
I can see why. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Let's continue down this way. So Rick, we are here right now in the foyer, coming in off the front door. And then I guess take us through, tell us what we got going on here.
Sure. This is actually a utility space off to the right. Then we get into what's considered to be a great room. So we're passing through what would be the primary living space, which again is centered off the outdoor fireplace. It's also dictated by the things that we see in the ceiling. We've got a coffered ceiling here, slightly upscale compared to the dining room ceiling, where this is considered a tray ceiling. This is considered a coffered ceiling, so just a little bit more detail in that ceiling. But again, sight lines are carried through with beams and things like that. It's also carried on into the kitchen as well. So the very definition of the great room is combining primary living space, dining space, kitchen space.
What's the kind of the layout of this kitchen looking like? I see we've got something sticking out of the ground here. I'm assuming there's an island of some sort, or?
Yeah, there's actually a very substantial island that lives in the center. It's got various appliances under counter that lives here, as well as there is no sink in this particular one, and quite often we will put vegetable sinks in the islands, of course. The wall to the right is the range wall.
Okay.
So big professional grade range going in there, big beautiful hood. So this is literally primary cooking area, is that space right there. Beautiful. Sink is centered underneath this window. The sink itself, I believe that thing is 5 feet wide. It's a gourmet sink that's become very, very popular. kind of a multi-compartmentalized unit. So very nice piece there. And then over here is where all the refrigerators, tall cabinets, oven cabinets, things like that all live on this particular wall.
Very cool. Again, fantastic ceiling height in here. I see a lot of wires. We got sound, we've got lights, we've got all sorts of neat stuff coming in here.
We do. Most of the things that you see here that are exposed, that's actually for low voltage LED tape lights.
Oh, okay.
And we've got a detail that we incorporate quite often. You can see some of the slots up here in these coffers. And some people say, well, the slots are kind of strange and unusual. Well, what we do is a detail called a split crown. So there's a crown molding that goes up. It does not go all the way to the ceiling, but it conceals those. They're essentially HVAC registers.
Oh, nice.
So all the supply and return air is coming out of those slots, and once the home is completely finished, you will never see where that air is coming.
And you're not looking at a bunch of grates in your ceiling for your AC to come down. That's fantastic.
We try to minimize what we like to call ceiling acting.
Yeah, I like that.
To the greatest degree possible, particularly in primary living spaces. So more often than not, you're not going to see us do a bunch of runways of recessed lights and things like that. There are certain rooms that do call for that, but this is not one of them. This needs to have a different sensibility to it.
I can't wait to see this start to come together. The flooring you selected in here is gorgeous. I know it's mostly covered with paper now. I'm sure we can show people a little peek of it. What is the product that you used on the floor, by the way?
Well, you would have to ask the interior designer that. It's an engineered hardwood floor, and we certainly can't take credit for the selection. The interior designer, along with the owner, made that selection. But just about every single home that we build here in Florida has engineered hardwood floors.
Makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so and Rick, down this way, we're heading into the primary bedroom suite, correct?
Yes, this is the master suite.
This is going to be fantastic. So this is closet here?
Yeah, we tend to design very significant closets. Of course, when people move to Florida, they tend to get rid of about 50% of their clothes, and they really don't need the amount of closet space that they needed.
You don't need any jackets down here.
If they're out west or something like
Sweatshirt maybe, but not a lot of jackets.
Exactly.
And then back here is the primary bathroom as well?
So this primary bathroom, another feature that we're starting to have clients request quite a bit during programming phase is, rather than having a separate shower and a separate bath component, we're doing what's considered a wet room.
Okay.
So there's essentially going to be a pane of glass that will separate that portion of the room from this portion of the room. Vanities live in this portion of the room. Everything behind that pane of glass is essentially one large wet room.
That's fantastic.
So the bathtub lives there. The ceiling will be tiled. Everything in that room, if they wanted to, you could actually come in here and just spray the whole thing down to clean it.
My wife's from Thailand. A lot of the bathrooms are like that. Right. She moved here. She says, how do you guys get away without a drain in the floor? Like, how do you clean a bathroom? I never thought about it. And then I went there. I was like, man, I need a shower someday or a bathroom with a drain in the floor. And this one has a door. I believe there's an outdoor shower on this as well, correct?
There is. Interestingly enough, we again pay attention to what our different clients are asking for. Outdoor showers are huge. But what's mostly interesting about that is more often than not, it is the husband that requests the outdoor spaces, and they tend to use them on almost a daily basis.
I can see why.
Yeah.
I mean, with the appropriate amount of privacy or forgiving neighbors, it's a good idea.
It's interesting to understand the sociology that goes along.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's going to be great. So is the glass, is that shower or that door, is that encompassed in that glass space, or is there a piece of glass that separates the shower and then a separate entrance or exit kind of thing?
Yeah, the glass that goes here is 6 feet in front of that door.
I see.
So that just gives you direct access into the outdoor shower, and what we're not seeing in this particular, at this particular time is the surround that goes around that outdoor shower for privacy.
Okay, so there's privacy. It's not just out there on the deck? No. Come on, it'd be fun. Yeah, this view is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so I think this pretty much tells the story about how we lay things out. Again, center lines are of the utmost importance. Sight lines, inside to outside, strictly inside. It doesn't matter. Sight lines are more important than most people realize. And quite frankly, when you hear that saying, "God is in the details," well, there are details and there are moves that we make, such as this, that the average individual isn't going to be able to put their finger on.
Sure.
But it is that attention to detail that makes the homes that we design sing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So it's very, very important part of it.
I just took notice to it. There's what looks like the two, I guess, pillars down there, right? The concrete.
Yes.
Is there, now I know that this is an infinity edge pool, correct?
Yes.
Is there something that goes across that, or is that for either side to?
No, it's for the rails that are on either side.
Okay.
The drop off to the landscaping.
Yeah, and I think even this fireplace position, it provides some additional privacy that I didn't think about the first time I came here, but it's really...
That was a very intentional move. We do know that this lot next door, it's a large lot, but half of it's currently empty. There's no question that house is going to go up for sale. As a matter of fact, it might be for sale now. And there's gonna be another house there. So the intention of putting that fireplace in exactly that position was knowing that that's going to happen and to block views directly into the primary living space of this house.
Makes sense. What's the ceiling height in here, Rick?
Ceiling height in here is 11 foot.
I love it. The volume of space, you could take a not huge square footage room and make it feel so much larger. And then getting these additional windows up top, that much more light coming in.
Yes, proportion and scale is paramount, just as important as sightlines and things like that. So you have to be careful. I mean, if you put too high of a ceiling in a space like this, you're gonna feel like you're in a tunnel.
Sure.
Right, so we really have to measure those things and understand the true volume of the space and make sure that we're not making the ceiling too low and we're not making it too high.
Makes sense.
There's a fine line.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we've got Dominic here, the project manager with Trinity on the Cleveland build. Dominic, I know you guys have run into some logistical challenges on site. What have you guys run into? How'd you guys overcome it?
Well, the site itself is quite small compared to some of the traditional sites here at Trinity. The width is not very wide, so in order to get dumpsters on the job site, in order to get cranes on the job site, trusses, putting in the site wall that we have here, and trying to navigate the power lines themselves create a tremendous amount of conflict. Some of the ways to mitigate around that is to stage certain things in certain areas. This dumpster has been in certain areas. Then we built the wall, we brought this in. We actually had our framers hand set all the trusses, which normally we have a crane come and do all that in about a 2-day time span. It took about 3 weeks to a month for our guys to really do it.
Literally drag them up there and set them by hand, right?
Yeah, we had a small lift to kind of help with some of that, but for the most part, 90% of it was all labor.
Very cool. Now, tell me, I know we're obviously quite along in the project here. Where are we at in terms of kind of, the grand scheme of things, and what kind of time frame do you think you have left on it?
Let's start with time frame. We're really hoping to kind of push for a quasi Halloween party.
Yeah.
We're
be trick-or-treating here?
Yeah, it'd be cool to have the kids come and just have a nice little powwow. We'll probably have some punch-out items after that.
Yeah. And what was the anticipated project time frame on this?
We were always shooting for Thanksgiving in general. So when I came on board in this project, December, January, we were pretty much the end of November, and we were able to tighten it up to mid-August.
Very cool.
And then we're really shooting for Halloween.
Looking forward to checking back with you in the next few weeks and see some progress.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
So we are here with Mike, president and owner of Trinity Construction on Cleveland Drive, again on St. Armands for another project you're working on. You guys aren't only the general contractor, but you guys are handling a lot of the scope yourselves. What do you got going on out here, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the rough framing scope of work as well as the siding scope of work, which is kind of unique to our company. Not many builders in this area or nationally, it's not really something that you typically see for most custom home builders because it's a lot to kind of organize, but we're very fortunate in the fact that we have the opportunity to be able to self-perform a lot of those types of scopes on our new construction projects. We started off as a carpentry company years ago, and so as we kind of morphed and evolved into a custom home building company, we were able to bring a lot of our carpenters in-house, and really it's quite amazing because it allows us a lot more control over our budgets, it allows us a lot more control over our schedules, and we're working with guys who have been with us for 10, 12 years in the carpentry business. So being able to kind of manage all of that and have a better control over quality in those types of things and not have another subcontractor that we've got to kind of work around their schedules and their different nuances really gives us a leg up when it comes to custom home building.
I've got to imagine it's a pretty unique skill set to have as a custom home builder in the area, right?
Yeah, absolutely, it's unique. Like I said, there's not a lot of builders that I know in the area that are doing this. You might have a couple builders who have 1 or 2 punch-out guys that kind of go around and help tidy up jobs or fix some things as the project goes along, which is pretty standard in a lot of these projects. But to have 14 carpenters in-house to be able to handle complete scopes of work is very unique to our firm.
Yeah, and I've got to mention, such in these custom builds, there's something new and exciting on every one of these, right? Client-driven, design-driven. So to have that expertise of having done it before and knowing some of those tricks and little things you can bring into a project, especially as you're helping to design it, has got to be be another thing that really helps Trinity stand out.
Oh, absolutely, and our guys are incredible. You know, I used to wear my tool belt for many years, and so a lot of guys that are still working with us, like Victor on this project, has been with us for about 12 years, and you know, Victor knows all of my little kind of idiosyncrasies, you know, like all of my particularities and how I like things done, you know, and so, you know, when something kind of comes up that, you know, needs to deviate from plan or something, typically in order to give the client more than what they're asking for, you know, going to Victor, he's always like, you know, super pumped, like, hey, yes, let's find a way to make it better. Let's make this happen for the client. Whereas, you know, typically you're dealing with subcontractor. It's okay, well, let's talk about a change order and let me get you a price on that and all these types of things. Whereas we're able to just flow right through with those things and get them knocked out.
That's awesome. And I've got to imagine too, having worn the tool belt, right, it gives you a little more credibility with the guys on site when you're helping to general contract these things, right? They know that you've done it before, you've been out in the heat, you're not just sitting in the office in the AC telling them what to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's this time of year that I'm very thankful that I'm more in the office, but you know, the other 6-7 months out of the year that are extremely beautiful here in Florida, I really miss being out in the field, but you know, a big credit to, or I think a reason why, you know, a lot of this, you know, custom home building, a lot of things come very naturally to me is just because I've spent, you know, nearly 2 decades doing this with my own 2 hands. And so having that in-field knowledge, as well as the knowledge of running a business or running a construction company, putting those two together really allows us to have some great communication with our subcontractors and really dive into the details and have some good communication about that.
And you're turning out amazing products. I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm going to be meeting with some of your other guys today to see what's going on out here, and we look forward to staying in touch.
Likewise, thanks so much for coming out.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Tom, you're with Avery Roof Services. Tell us a little bit about the company you've got.
Oh, sure, great. I'd love to do that. So Avery Roof Services is a full-service roofing company. We're kind of a family-owned small business. Been in business for about 10 years now here in Sarasota. We have you know, kind of developed a niche for ourselves in these custom home, new construction custom home builds, as well as a lot of other custom home re-roofs up and down the waterfront. Yep. We've been blessed with you know, coming into a bunch of really good customers in that market. Of course, we do every other type of roofing you can imagine, full service repairs and you know, re-roofing of everything, and dog houses to doll houses, we say sometimes.
So I've seen a lot of metal roofs in my day, but this one looks like it's like the Cadillac, right? This thing looks like it's bulletproof. So can you tell us a little bit about what we've got out here, a little bit how it's installed, and you know, what the owners can expect out of it?
Sure. So this roof in particular is a 24 gauge. It's a clip series snap lock standing seam. This one is IM 675, manufactured by Integrity Metals out of Vero Beach. It's roll formed on site, and then the product is installed with stainless steel clips and screws to hold it down. The benefit to that is it eliminates the oil canning that you can see in a lot of other different types of metal roof systems. It's a very hardy, rugged roof system, very heavy, just designed to last a long time.
Is this more of a commercial application, or is this still a residential application?
No, this is definitely a residential application, sort of an architectural panel system.
Sure.
So, yes.
And what can the owners expect life expectancy on something like this?
Well, that's a great question. The manufacturer's finish warranty on this product is 25 years.
Okay.
I don't see that as a limitation, to be honest with you. I feel like it could last much longer than that.
That's what they'll tell you it's going to last that long, but you might be here a little bit longer.
That might be.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Tom. It's been great to meet you. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this project come together.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm here with Margarito from Rosas Cast Stone. Margarito, you are the person that's handling all the stone on the exterior of the house, all the install. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the company first.
Yes, Rich. I'm the owner of Rosas Cast Stone. I've been in business since 2007, doing exterior and interior stone and tile. My business has been very stable from Naples to Tampa, and I'm running a crew of 40 guys doing all custom work. Here we're gonna have some of the beautiful shell stone from Turkey on all the decks and pool deck with a 2-inch edge tile, edge limestone. Yep. This is on second floor decks and pool decks. We're gonna use unmodified thin set, so as you see they have waterproofing done. Yep. Then we're gonna pre-flow everything with the right pitches to the drains and the outside of the decks. Then we're gonna use our Ditra drain on top and install only with that unmodified thin set to the stone. So pretty much that's it. And we have the fireplace with some of the beautiful mento and split face 12 by 24.
To look sharp. And you were telling me, so you don't actually grout this tile, right? In order to, I guess, assist in the drainage, right?
We grout the seams to the tile, but we have this detail to the drainage where we leave a 1/4 inch of gap for all the water to drain to the drain.
Yes. That's fantastic.
So that's the details we like to do. So decks will look much better and finishes.
Yeah. And you said, is there any polish or anything that goes on this stone, or is it put down as it is and left alone?
This stone is come already with a brush finish on top.
Beautiful.
So it's no slippery at all.
And you were telling me too, especially like with this type of stone in the heat, it's going to stay nice and cool for folks when they're out here walking around the pool.
That's correct.
Doesn't burn up your feet.
That's correct. Big difference between natural stone and porcelain. Porcelain is always being so hot.
Yeah.
The natural stone is always cold, so you don't burn your feet.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Margarito. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rich.
So I want to thank Rick from CMSA Architects for coming out today and giving us the in-depth scope of what's going on here on Cleveland Drive. I want to thank Mike and Dominic, both from Trinity Construction and Design, for their updates. I want to thank Tom and Margarito, both for the roof and the stone updates. If you're interested in keeping track of this project, other projects like it, be sure to like and subscribe. We've got a lot more content coming soon, and be well.